All right, so this is the most recent tea. Zach Mazer went live last night to kind of explain everything that basically happened and how the E8 explosions happened, and you know, the whole roster is just not playing together anymore. Chat, obviously with this topic, listen. In this scenario, I would obviously be very biased and have a completely different opinion than you guys probably would. So I'm gonna watch this video. We're gonna watch Zach's VOD. We're gonna listen to what Zach says, okay? And then I'm basically just gonna go over and re-explain what he said in clearer terms for you guys, because there's the Reddit who obviously watched what Zach said and still are twisting everything that happened. But yeah, I'm still gonna try to be as neutral as possible. And obviously, like, it's so easy for me to just take Zach's side and be like, this and that, because obvious reasons. But yeah, I'm gonna try to not do that. Zach has also told me not to talk about anything that isn't public. So there's a lot of things that are not public. So I will only talk about what is public. I won't go into further detail. Another big thing too is that Zach does not want any drama. He does not want any drama. So he's asked me to be very choiceful with my words and obviously not cause anything, because at the end of the day, there should not be any drama about this. So basically, there's a Reddit post right now, and it's Zach Mazer opens up on the collapse of E8's roster and what happened with Zap and TSM. There's a whole Reddit thread on this if you guys want to look at this. But yeah, so we're gonna watch this real quick. This is the update of what happened with E8.
All right, long story short, so we start at the 07 con. We'll start there. The 07 con sucked. I fucked up. I let myself get weak, and we picked a POI that I thought we could make it work, and it didn't work. So then I had to double back on it. Now, the biggest issue was I was asking for something else. Talmage wanted something else. We went with what Talmage wanted. And by we, I just mean Zap, because Zap was asking Talmage. I was saying something else, and that was that.
Okay, I'm going to clarify that, because basically what he's saying here, Talmage picked a POI for them, which is what, Checkpoint, something like that. And Zap decided to announce that, okay, we're going Checkpoint because Talmage said so. Then Zach was just like, okay, I guess we're just going there, even though he wanted to go Cedo.
He had already gone out with what we were doing. I agreed. I was like, okay, yeah, we can play hard edge Checkpoint. Now, obviously, looking back, that was very stupid. And that was a mistake, right? I've acknowledged that mistake 1,000 times. So that's kind of where everything starts. So we start there. We start playing from Checkpoint. I hate that. And it gets to the point where I overrule Talmage, and I step on Talmage's toes, and I say, this is what we're doing. We're going back to Cedo, and this is how we're doing it, and this is what's going to happen. And we conned 07 for 2 days, and then 07 left.
Talmage was the E8 coach.
Yeah, Talmage let us know, or not we. Talmage let the team know that if I take us back to Cedo Station, even if we're unconned, he's going to LFT. And I'm just telling him okay, I hear you. I don't know what to tell you. We can either fail or we can try to succeed.
That right there is crazy. For your coach to look at you and be like, if you take the team back to Cedo, I'm LFTing. If you take the team back to Cedo, I'm gonna look for team. What? So I have Walty's reaction to that.
A coach is more valuable now? No. He overvalues the shit out of Talmage, but he's also an IGL that kind of really needs a coach, because coaches are important, but coaches aren't that important. I don't get me wrong, I value Kyle, and I value what he brings to the team.
Kyle is his coach.
But if Kyle ever said to me that I am LFTing if we swap back to a POI, I would drop him on the spot, because that is fucking stupid. And he would never do that, by the way, because Kyle, the best thing about Kyle is, he very much understands what we need from him, and he very much understands, how this team operates. So he would never do some stupid shit like that. Everything I've heard about Talmage from this situation, right now, is all I'm hearing is that he is just, I don't know, to me, he just seems I don't know, he's just egotistical. He sounds gross.
That was Walty's reaction to that, and I'll let you know what others have definitely had the same reaction. I'll play more of this later, but he also says in some point too that your job as the team is to make the IGL comfortable. He said that when they first swapped to NA, he told his IGL where do you want to go? Where pick wherever you feel most comfortable, right?
As Talmage said, LAN ends. He decides to LFT. It didn't surprise anyone. He didn't blindside anyone with that. That's all fine.
So he did. He followed through on his word. The boys went back to Cedo, right? The boys went back to Cedo. They got contested. LAN ends. Talmage LFTs.
And Talmage felt a really certain way about how the game could be played, et cetera, et cetera. Talmage strongly believes that I wasn't reaching out for help, or I didn't even care to make it work. And the reality was I just thought it was fucking stupid. I just didn't think I could win doing it. thought I could win a different way.
Yeah, Zach is just basically sitting there saying, like, he did not feel like he could win from checkpoint. He felt like if they could go back to Cedo, he could win from Cedo, right? And for those of you guys that remember, we watched all of those scrims leading up. Basically, they did go back to Cedo. They conned 07 at Cedo during scrims. I think they did it 2 days in a row. E8 won all of those cons, so then 07 left. That's why they weren't expecting 07 to come back to Cedo during finals, because they had already left. It wasn't Zach going to con 07, it was 07 going back to con E8.
So that's how we get to the off season. Now we get to the off season, or like the post LAN, and Talmadge goes LFT. Me and Zap were getting a couple offers, but we really wanted to play with Sykes. Now, keep in mind, I want you guys to know everything that I'm saying right now, Shubi is well aware of. Me and Shubi have talked many times recently, and we made everything like in the timeline very clear. Bro, that beeping is like fucking with my train of thought. I really wanted to play with Sykes. I think Sykes is a great player. I think he's a great anchor. Like, end of story. I know Zap really, really wanted to play with Sykes as well. He was very vocal about that. Zap thinks Sykes is a great player. At the time, Talmadge was LFT. He was not committed to E8. It turned into a situation where it was made out to seem that like Sykes and Talmadge are like leaning a similar direction. Like whatever way one goes, the other one might go. It wasn't 100%, but it was seeming that way. So I made sure to make up with Talmadge and do like what I could and say what I could and have the calls that I could to like make sure me and Talmadge work out. I do think Talmadge is a great coach.
No,
Even
they
after
haven't
all
found
this,
out about
I do think
EWC
Talmadge
yet.
is a very valuable coach, and I think he can contribute a lot to a team. Just because I like don't like a person doesn't mean I won't acknowledge their skill. Like it'll never be like that for me. So we work with Talmadge to get Talmadge back locked into the team. But he had offers from I think 3 teams. He had like confirmed offers from, and after getting all 3 confirmed offers, he decided that he was going to recommit to E8, and that was awesome. That was great news for me. I was really excited about that. I again really value Talmadge's skill.
All right, Pug. This is where we're at. Let's draw this up. So we got Zach over here, right? We'll put Shubi right here. We've got Zap, and we've got Tom. So after LAN, Talmadge decided I'm gonna go LFT. So he went to go LFT after LAN for them going back to Cedo, and that was his decision. That was cool. Then Zap and Zach are hearing of conversations of, oh, there's potential opportunity over here with Sykes, right? This is going to look really bad. Just follow along. So they heard potential opportunity with Sykes, right? And then Zach said it sounded as if that Talmadge and Sykes were kind of a duo. Like where one goes, it sounded like the other would go. Then they decided, okay, if Talmadge and Sykes are kind of like a duo, then Zach made up with Talmadge and they were trying to see if this was going to be an opportunity. So Talmadge no longer LFT. Talmadge said, okay, back with team. Back good. Did we really think we were pulling Sykes? Yes. Again, Zach told me I'm not allowed to say anything that's not public, but yes, Sykes made it very known. This is one thing I will say. Sykes did make it very known that he was very interested in playing with Zach and Zap. That is what I will say, okay? That's why this was even a thing. That's why this was ever even a conversation. Zach was completely fine keeping this a team. But Sykes showed interest, so that's why that conversation ever even happened.
So we have the conversation about Sykes. Talmadge would prefer to work with Shubi. Zap and I would prefer to play with Sykes. We actually didn't even reach an agreement as a team. That call just kind of ended. We said we will figure it out another day. Then Sykes let me know that he's committing another direction.
Obviously, we know that Sykes decided, nope, never mind. Forget you guys. I'm going to LG. So now Sykes is playing with LG. Then he said, never mind, this is not happening anymore. This isn't even like an option anymore. He's going with LG.
And that was fine. So, I mean, we let the team know that we lose Sykes. At that point in time, I asked Zap a question about a very specific player. I said, do you want to play with this specific player? He said, no, I would prefer to play with Shubi. Now, this is where it gets strange, is it makes it seem like we want to play with Shubi at that point, which is fine. But there's some DMs after that like very explicitly explain that me and Zap had offers as a duo with like at least 2 other orgs that were rumoring to offer the roster around 7.5 to like 8.5K a month, right? So at that point, Zap lets me know that this is like really big life-changing money for me. I also was like, just to be transparent, I also wanted to make sure that I knew the offers as well, right? So just to be clear, I was interested in finding out what the offers were, but I was very deliberately saying like, you have to consider EWC, and you have to consider champs and split 2, which we would qual for with Shubi. That would make a lot of money on its own. So like, is the salary?
All right, from right there, what Zach is saying, now that this was no longer an option, right? The Sykes option, that was no longer. He goes to LG. So now Zach and Zap are getting offers as a duo for them to be together with who knows for money. We can't say who. But then Zach said right there that Zap is saying, hey, this is really life-changing money for me. I think I'm going to go that direction, right? And then Zach is reminding Zap, hey, EWC, which is the Esports World Cup, we could do this with Shubi. We could win LAN with Shubi. Like, he just said that. He reminded Zap of that. And Zap said the money is life-changing for him. That's the route he wants to go.
The gap of like the actual money that we'd make, right? That was really important that conversation happened.
Why didn't those teams want Shub? Sometimes there's offers that are only for duos because there's already somebody that has a connection with an org. So let's say that there's somebody that has a connection with an org. They're already talking with the org, and the org says, hey, we want to sign you. We want you to pick up 2 other people. So a team of 1, yeah, that's how it works. Sometimes people get connections, and they'll talk to the org and be like, hey, like, I have these are my placements from before. They're starting the signings with that org, and the org will let them build their own team. So it happens all the time. They had offers as a duo, not as a full team, because of there being multiple singular players out there. Snipe's a solo on FaZe, and he's, trying to like figure out his team and stuff like that. Sweet, the same thing. Sweet basically got to like build his own team.
I was definitely interested in hearing out the other offers, but I mean, no, like there was no like commitment. It was definitely like, we have to consider how much we get paid out of like EWC and stuff like that. It got to a point where it was money over like the roster. It got to the point where I could either play with Shubi and maybe Talmage and be on a much lower salary, or I could leave with Zap, pursue one of many opportunities that were paying around 2x to 2.5x what we were making on E8. Now,
okay, so basically Zach's saying there he has a decision at this point. He could either stick with Shubi, they stay together, but it would mean less money, or he can go with Zap and make more money. Does this still make sense? Are we still following?
A lot of the pro players know the numbers, but I'm not going to go into detail with you guys. But for most people in life or an esport player, like that's like brain dead money. That's like insane. So start looking into those opportunities, and one of the opportunities is with a player that we think is good, but I thought Noct was better. So I told Zap, like, well, what if we hit up Noct? Because I think Noct is better. We have a better chance of winning with Noct. This and that. Noct has an organization that can like rival these budgets and whatnot, right? And to be fair, we had already been we had been contacting that org for some time anyway. So he's down with that.
All right, so that's where the Noct thing comes into play. So there was one mystery offer here, right? There was one mystery offer, but then there was a competing offer with Noct. Why can't I think of how to spell his name right now? All right, sorry. Holy shit, I need more caffeine. Anyways, all right, so then there was one mystery offer with more money, but they thought that this player wasn't as good as Noct. They thought that Noct is a better player. So then they're like, okay, we can go with Noct with more money. So yeah, so there was, competing the same basically around the same amount of money, which would be way more than what, he would get with Shub. So yeah, that's where we are.
It gets, I guess, a little messy. I reach out to Noct and I fill Noct in, and I'm like, yo, like me, Zap, and Talmage, yada, 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 like champs, EWC, like it is what it is. If you don't want to consider it, that's totally fine. If you want to consider it, that's totally fine. And Noct is like, the only way like I'll ever, like Noct was very deliberate. He was like, the only way I'll ever even consider it is if everyone is like legitimately completely locked in, like 100% locked in. So I went and asked and got, I only asked Zap, just to be clear. And I went, asked Zap, screenshotted that, sent that to Noct. Noct knew that like the roster was locked in. So then Noct brought it to his situation. His situation was like, yeah, over the next like 72 hours, his org was like, yeah, let's go down this road.
All right, so that was Giga locked in. So then they had this mystery one, but then the mystery one was like, nope, we want to play with Noct instead. Then they go to Noct. They get confirmation from Zach and Zap. Noct said, I need confirmation from both. There was confirmation. Everyone's locked in. Moolah. So now they're like, yeah, let's move forward on this org, right? They're going to move forward on this org and do this.
At that point, it like was really slow. There wasn't anything serious. But then it did get to a point where it got serious. We did get to a point where the org let us know, like, hey, you're getting the green light, like, we're going your direction. When that happened, we let Shubi know that, like, hey, this is who we're playing with.
This is where it's sad. I love Shubi so I felt really bad. I know Zach felt really bad about this too.
This is what's going on. These are the numbers we're talking about. And Shubi just replied, like,
what was the org? I'm only allowed to talk about what's public. I can't leak anything. I'm only allowed to talk about what's public.
Very understanding. That's like money you could never turn down, yada, yada, yada. She was honestly way too understanding about it. So at that point, we had let Shub know. So that means Shub was looking for team, which means we were allowed to scrim with Noct at that point. So we go and we scrim with Noct. Why was Shub not allowed to be a part of it? Because it wasn't like going anywhere at the time. So we weren't even sure if like it was following through at the time. We just weren't sure if it was going to actually work out. So there was no point in like scaring Shubi or scaring ourselves or anything. It was just like all up in the air. All
right, so let's update this real quick. At this point, they tell Shubi, sorry, brother, we're going a different route. So now that's how Shubi got out, right? And now that it started to seem like, okay, this is going somewhere. This is, good. We're starting to talk numbers. Things are happening. Then they let Shubi go. Sag. Really Sag. Also, Tom should be a part of this too. Okay.
Fuck, where was I? Oh, so we can scrim with Noct. So we scrim with Noct for the first time ever.
Touch his face.
And we get a fourth.
When he's anxious, he always messes with his hair.
We get a fourth in scrims. I think if I remember correctly, we were like 10 points off first or something. And like for those of you that actually watch, like if you guys remember, that was the game that I got sentineled in the head and like the train station of
Shubi now plays with Dropped.
That should have been a free game. Like
Dropped
we should have had
Snipe.
a top 2 that day at worst. But it ended up being a fucking fourth, which was sad. But I mean, bro, a fourth is still
what
good.
hair?
Like,
okay, bud.
The whole time. The next day, I had a dentist.
You know who's to blame on this entire roster mania? You know who's to blame for all of this? Imperial Hal, that motherfucker. Think about it. If bro didn't leave TSM, none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened. Think about it.
Surgery, so not only did we not scrim, but like didn't really talk or like do much, to be honest. We ended up TDMing later at night, but I was still high on like hard drugs from like the dentist fucking surgery, so those TDMs went pretty bad, to be honest. I think I dropped a game where I had like 3,004 damage.
All right, basically
like
all he said is they played one scrim together, got fourth place in it, then he had a dentist appointment the next day, and then boom.
The next day we had scrims, and Zap is like very like mentally checked out. Like Zap just wasn't giving his best effort. When Zap is giving his best effort, Zap can single-handedly like carry a team. That guy is beyond mechanically gifted, and when he's thinking with his like whole brain and he's like really putting in the effort, Zap is like beyond incredible. So like
Zap is insane.
I don't really know what happened that day.
Zap is super
I don't want to
insane.
say things that aren't true, so I'll just leave it at that. Basically, Zap just didn't show up to work that day at the level that sometimes he shows up to. He definitely didn't have like the energy, the vibes, or the skill that he normally did. The day went really bad. And
this happened this day that he's talking about. I'm pretty sure Design had already told the boys like, hey, I'm not going to be trialing with you guys anymore. I'm going to stick with DSG. I'm pretty sure this was this day. Either it was the day before or it was this day. I think it was the day before that Design had told them. So this is the next day after Design had told them.
It was a terrible day. And I mean, we didn't think anything of it. We even VOD reviewed. And then later that night at around like, so this is all the same day now. Later that night, we find out that Design is going back to DSG, which was no surprise to us.
Never mind.
Because we were like,
see, I lied. So it was this day, but they found out later that day.
Like, this is a no-brainer, right? DSG was doing really good. It would probably make the most sense for Design to go back. He ends up going back. At that point, they I don't really know how this part went down. I've heard two different things from two different people. I've heard from one person that Zap was like just in a call chilling and it like became a thing. I've also heard that TSM like reached out to him that Friday evening and was like, yo, do you want to try out again? Zap did get a TSM offer like a long time ago, not like Friday itself. So I don't know what's true, so I'm not going to tell you what's true. Long story short, that same day at like 11 p.m., Zap lets me know that he's going to try with TSM. And I straight up thought he was joking. Like, I couldn't believe it because we had like completely verbally agreed to Noct and Nox org and like this team. We had gone through like at least 4 to 5 days of the contract process. At the time, we didn't know it, but I know it now. Like we were less than 24 hours away from like being able to get contracts and like sign contracts. As far as I knew, like it wasn't about a skill roster. It was all about money. So I went and got like a crazy money offer. And then Zach.
Okay, boom. Let's slow it down. Okay, so at this point, the team has all committed, yes, to this org with Noct, right? They have all committed to this org. They have verbally agreed. They were 24 hours away. Hold on, let me change it back to black. They were 24 hours away from signing the contract. My signature, okay? So they were supposed to sign the contract the next day. But the night before they were supposed to sign, Zap said, I'm gonna go trial with TSM. So then that takes away his little check mark. He's no longer, even though he verbally committed, verbally agreed, they were supposed to sign contract next day, he decides to go trial with TSM. And then Zach was saying at the end there that Zach was under the impression that, you know, they were doing all these changes and making all these decisions because Zap was saying, you know, he wanted the life-changing money. This all ties back to this, yes? He wanted the life-changing money. And that's, you know, that's how he wanted to go. So that's why Zach was confused, because he was like, wait, you wanted life-changing money, and then I got the life-changing money, and then now you're going to this thing with TSM, correct? So that's where we are.
Zap goes to trial with TSM. Now, I obviously am taking this as like a huge sign of betrayal. Like how do you do this to Noct? How do you do this to me? Like it's been like a full ordeal, right? So me and Noct, we reach out to Talmadge. We're like, this is how we feel about Zap. This is insane. What are your thoughts? And basically Talmadge is like, I have no thoughts. I'll let you know in the morning. And like, it was like a really cold answer. We were like, what the fuck? Like, this is strange. Like,
hi, Manny.
You'd think if Talmadge was getting blindsided, he would like feel some sort of way about it, you know? So I asked Talmadge, I'm like, do I have to worry about you joining TSM as well? And he said something along the lines of I don't know. Said something along the lines of like, I don't know, or like, I have no comment at this time, or he said something like, basically, I don't know.
Reaching out to Talmadge after he was LFT was a mistake. Like originally, before they like me, because at this point, they're all cool. At this point, when they're all here, Talmadge was going to this org with them. They were all together. This was all happening. And then Zap is deciding he's going to go trial TSM. Zap decides to trial TSM. And then they're like, wait, you know, Zach and Noct as the duo go to Talmadge. And they're like, hey, like, you know, what the heck? Did you hear about this? We're supposed to sign tomorrow. Like, what's going on? Talmadge says no comment. Talmadge is the EA coach. This is coach. And then, yeah, so they asked him like, oh, like, you know, do we have to worry about you too? Talmadge says no comment. No comment. You guys get the point. So at that point, they're realizing, okay, we have to worry about Talmadge too. So now Talmadge is not going this direction, and he's going with Zap this way. That's where we're at now.
Said, just to be exact, I don't know everything perfect, but I do have my own DMs. He said, I don't have answers right now. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to bed. We'll have thoughts in the morning. And then I said, okay, do I have to worry about you joining TSM? He said, I don't have answers right now. So at that point, me and Noct knew that we had to worry about Talmadge. Now, as you heard, like Talmadge say, like he's going to bed. Me and like Noct aren't like fucking idiots, bro. Like we're just like seeing him like getting moved around in this one Discord. We're like seeing him in and out the general chat. Like he's interacting with people, and then like 40 minutes later, or I don't want to say 40 minutes later. Let me go actually look, because I want to say something that's like not true, right? That would be fucked up. We talk about a call. Like me and Noct are asking for clarity in a call.
All right, sorry, I was ordering my food. Let me go back up.
TSM, he said, I said something along the lines like, I don't know, or like, I have no comment at this time, or he said something like, basically, I don't know. Here, I'll go find it and tell you what he said, just to be exact. I don't know everything perfect, but I do have my own DMs. He said, I don't have answers right now. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to bed. We'll have thoughts in the morning. And then I said, okay, do I have to worry about you joining TSM? He said, I don't have answers right now. So at that point, me and Noct knew that we had to worry about Talmadge.
What happens to Raven? Raven's looking for team.
As you heard, like Talmadge say, like he's going to bed. Me and like Noct aren't like fucking idiots, bro. Like we're just like seeing him like getting moved around in this one Discord. We're like seeing him in and out the general chat. Like he's interacting with people, and then like 40 minutes later, or I don't want to say 40 minutes later. Let me go actually look, because I don't want to.
Yeah, so Talmadge is saying he's going to bed. Goes to bed, and the boys can literally see him in a Discord, not asleep, still awake.
I want to say something that's like not true, right? That would be fucked up. Let's see. We talk about a call. Like me and Noct are asking for clarity in a call. He gives us the call. We call. I asked him. I say good night. Talk to you tomorrow. He says you'll keep your spot regardless or not because of them. As you guys know, you can keep pro league spots with subs. I said I wasn't sure because I think Vem is playing nice CC split. He said I don't know.
Vem is like a controller player.
Noct was like, me and Noct are just confused, right? Because we're kind of getting blindsided. We didn't know anything. I said I wasn't sure because I think Vem is playing nice CC split. He said I don't know. And then Noct was like, me and Noct are just confused, right? Because we're kind of getting blindsided. We didn't know anything. So, but now we know that like Talmadge and Zap are both included. So we're like, Noct is asking, and so am I asking if you can join a call. Yeah. So he joins a call, and basically, I'm guessing Talmadge didn't know like what we knew. Talmadge basically joined the call and word for word said, "Yeah, Zap let me know after scrims today that he feels like he wants to leave, and he might join TSM." At this point, it's like 1:20 a.m. Basically, that was Talmadge saying that like he's known about this since like 6 p.m. or whenever the fuck 9 p.m. whenever the fuck scrims ended. I don't even know what time scrims ended. But basically, Talmadge knew the whole time, chose not to fucking tell any of us, and then look out for himself, which was, you know, it was pretty frustrating to hear that because I know Talmadge is a little bit older. He's like, you know, he's like 25 or something, and you know, I just was under the impression that
25 is older.
Agreed to the Noct situation. I really thought that would go through. At that point, it felt like really like bad, like betrayal, because it was like whatever, like it just felt like we were leaving like a huge path of destruction for no reason. The reason it felt like that was because
Zach is 24.
First, we needed no change. Then we wanted Sykes. Sykes fell through. Then we needed no change. Then it was about the money. When it was about the money, we went and got money. And then suddenly it wasn't about the money. It was, I don't think I can win with Noct. And like, that's obviously just like major.
Okay, so he's breaking it all down again. So basically, the team was chill. Then the Sykes, you know, opportunity presented itself. So then that fell through. And then it was like, okay, the team needed no change. He just said it right there. Zach said the team needed no change. But then Zap said life-changing money opportunity. So obviously that changed everything. So then these two went this route. Then it got to here.
And then I found out that it's not the money. It was, I don't think I can win with Noct.
So that thing is that he's hearing all these different things of like, he doesn't know why all of this happened. One of them could be is that he doesn't think he can win with Noct.
And like, that's obviously just like major cope.
Zach is 24.
I found out that it's not about Noct. Then I found out that they're telling someone else that it's about me. It was, I don't think I can win with Noct. And like, that's obviously just like major cope. And then I found out that it's not about Noct. Then I found out that they're telling someone else that it's about me. And then I found out from actually someone else that it was actually over like frustration from the contest with 07, which is even crazier because it's like, what are you holding a grudge over the 07 con? Like if you were that upset over the 07 con, if anything, you'd be relieved about the POI draft, because it's like, well, no matter how bad Zach's mistake was with the 07 con, then Zach literally can't.
Wouldn't you get the big money in TSM too? Y'all think TSM has crazy money. Y'all think the TSM offer is just out of this world, and it's not. Their offer here was way better, way more stonks. This was stonks than this.
Again, it's just not possible. It's the POI draft. It's a whole new system, right? So you would think that that wouldn't be the thing they hold a grudge for. Truthfully, I don't know. There's like no communication, so I actually don't know what it was. But those are the things that I've been told. It was like it was one thing was I can't win with Noct. The other thing was mad about the 07 con, and the other thing was like I just don't want to play with Zach anymore. So I have no idea. I've heard all three of those things from 3 different people. And then, oh bro, you're allowed to say what you want. I just don't give a fuck.
This was the time. At this time, Talmadge decided to like go in Zach's chat and start saying shit.
After that, I go back to Noct. Me and Noct are fucked at this point, like completely fucked. And we're panicking because it's like, well, am I going to lose E8? Is he going to lose his org? Like, what's the situation, right? Because at this point, we've left a huge path of destruction for no reason. Like, it's fucked over Shubi. It's fucked over Noct.
Ads. Okay.
It's now fucked over me.
What did Talmadge write in Zach's chat? Talmadge wrote in Zach's chat and said, I was getting dragged around by you and Zap for a week straight. Truthfully, this has been a... whatever the fuck that big ass word says. All I see is cum. Of a lot of things that led to my final decision. At this time, Waltzy is also in the chat and adds Talmadge and says, you saying you are LFT if they swap back to Cedo, and then his response isn't there yet. So Waltzy's typing in the chat, you saying you are LFTing if they swap back to Cedo, and then Talmadge writes yes, and then Waltzy says, Maybe the craziest thing I've ever heard from a coach. What are my personal thoughts on all this? I don't think I could say my personal thoughts. Because I'm biased. I'm biased on all of this. I can't say my personal thoughts because my personal thoughts are obviously going to be like siding with Zach. You're on Shuby's side? Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel bad for Shuby. It's definitely fucked. Everybody can agree on that 100%. Like going through all of this, everyone does feel bad for Shub. You know, like they had, you know, we go over this again. Zach and Zap had this potential opportunity with Sykes. That fell through. So then Zach said, there's no reason for change at this point. There's no reason for change. That opportunity fell through. There's no reason for change. Then Zap saw dollar signs and said, that's life-changing money. I think I'm going to go this route. So at that point, Zach had to make a decision. Do I stay with Shuby, make less money, or do I go with Zap and make more money? That's the question. Chat, what would you guys do in that instance? What would you guys do? Would you go make more money or would you stay and make less money? In this industry, you kind of have to take the money. Yeah. More money isn't always the best option. It also depends. I mean, he has two stellar players. Like, Zap is fucking incredible. Shuby is also fucking incredible. Like, what do you do at that point? You have two really insane players. One wants to go a different direction. Like, it's a tough situation to be in. It's genuinely a tough situation to be in.
But those are the things that I've been told. It was like, one thing was I can't win with Noct. The other thing was mad about the 07 con. And the other thing was like, I just don't want to play with Zach anymore.
The money would have come with
I have no idea.
Zap and Shuby. I agree.
From 3 different people.
I also agree. This is the only personal opinion I'll give. I literally, and every pro player would probably hate me for saying this, I was telling Zach to stay with Shuby. I said, don't go for Sykes. I said, I don't like this option. Every pro player thinks that this is the better option with Sykes. And I kept telling Zach, nope, stay the 3 of you. I like this 3 the best. But every pro player was like, nope, this is better option. This is, you know, better player. But I do agree with what some of you guys are saying in chat that like if these 3 stuck together as a team, I think the money would have just came right to them. But again, like I said, like Zach said, Zap said that this is life-changing money for me. I want to go this route. So Zap was going to leave either way. He was going to go somewhere else regardless. Now Shuby is fucking insane. Shuby is so good. He is so good.
So after that, I go back to Noct. Me and Noct are fucked at this point, like completely fucked. And we're panicking because it's like, well, am I going to lose E8? Is he going to lose his org? Like, what's the situation, right? Because at this point, we've left a huge path of destruction for no reason. Like, it's fucked over Shuby. It's fucked over Noct. It's now fucked over me. And it's under this, like, whole idea of I'm looking out for myself. But, like, that doesn't even make sense because it's like, well, first it was about the money and we were looking for money. Then it wasn't about the money. Then it was about winning. Then everyone is saying, like, are you sure that's even the better team? And then it's like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, there's a really fair argument to be made that like me, Shuby and Zap, or like me, Zap and Noct with Talmage on everything included is definitely a stronger roster than Reps, Talmage, Verholst, and Zap. Like there's a really strong argument that those are the better teams. I've asked my friends and they all agree, like mutual friends that we all have, and they all completely agree. So it was a pretty strange decision because it was like, they were getting, just so you guys know, like, just to be completely transparent, they're getting, if everything goes through at what I've been hearing behind closed doors, they're getting paid about half or like roughly less than half.
Okay, so I said that earlier. The TSM bag, not that crazy. Less than half of what they would have gotten paid here with Noct. So they decided to go that route. Talm and Zap decided to go this route, even though Zap was making a case of like wanting to leave this trio because life-changing money. And then he goes for the life-changing money and then leaves for less money to go with TSM.
We were going to get paid before. And then the other side of it is like, okay, well, maybe it's not about money anymore. Let's say they just fucked over Noct, let's say everything fucks over Noct. It's no longer about money. It's now about placements and like making sure we can win. Sure, you changed your mind. No big deal. But like, is that even the fucking better roster at that point? Definitely fucking not on paper, at least. Like, Reps has a lot to prove as an IGL. And now Reps isn't even IGLing. Now Evan's IGLing. And now Evan has a lot to prove as an IGL. So, like, on paper, it's not even like, it's like a no-brainer decision. It's like not even fucking remotely close. So now we get to that part where it's like even more frustrating where it's like, okay, well, I got told one thing. Then it wasn't that one thing. Like, what the fuck could it be? And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm hearing it's like the 07 con, or now I'm hearing it's like, well, I just don't want to play with him because of his attitude or how he plays or his mental, or it's like 50 different things I've heard. I truly don't even care which one it is, but I don't want people to think that like I just went around and like blew up the EA roster. I'm not gonna say Talmadge and Zap said anything to Shuby because I actually don't know.
I know I saw it, Dax.
So again, I don't know how this got
Hi,
to Shuby,
Yura.
but Shuby was completely under the impression that I single-handedly kicked him from the team, and this entire thing was like my work of like this like crazy scheme. Like that was very obviously not the case. It was so bad that Shuby wouldn't even like talk to me. He wasn't even entertaining a conversation with me. And I had to like legitimately harass Shub to get him in a call with me just so I could be like, yo, I know you hate me for things that you think I did. Can I just screen share my DMs and you can read every one of my DMs ever? Like formulate your own opinion. Like, I don't even care if you hate me at the end of the call, just formulate your own opinion. So I finally get Shuby to join the Discord call. We sat in that call, bro, for like, we were in that call for almost 5 hours. It was a long fucking call. And by the end of the call, Shuby was basically just like, damn, like this is really fucked up. Like, I feel bad.
Have Shuby been informed? Honestly, no. Let's say the opportunity with exactly like the Sykes thing. Like the Sykes opportunity didn't work out. So like, did Shuby need to know about that? No. Like they informed Shuby on this thing over here once it was like, okay, it's actually kind of serious. It's actually going somewhere. Then they tell Shuby, because if this also falls through, then they just stay together.
And you know, me and Shub are cool again, which is really cool. That's some good news. There is like some upsetness because when I had to pick between Shub and Zap, obviously I did pick Zap, and that obviously is going to be like a soft spot forever, and that's very understandable. I didn't pick Shub, I did pick Zap, and that was a choice that I made. Obviously the wrong choice, and this is where I ended up. So I totally understand Shub for like holding that one against me. That's pretty fair. As far as like options go for me,
that's what Zap and Talmadge did though. I think it's different when you verbally confirm with an org and like verbally commit and like this is all happening. And again, they didn't know it, but they were literally supposed to sign the contract the next day. Next day they were supposed to sign. Like you have verbally committed to an org, like that should be happening. I don't know. As a content creator, I've obviously only been on one org, but I've always known that like once you verbally commit, it's a serious thing and it's moving forward. And then this just, you know, that happened. So
like the future, I really want to team with Shub because I think he's like my best chance of winning. And like, I mean, obviously this whole like roster mania thing has just been like a clusterfuck of like multiple people just being left in the wake of absolute
chat. Can we all agree this whole roster mania thing is just all Hal's fault? Maybe one or two teams would have switched and that would have been it.
Now it's like really important for me more than ever to just try to be like selfish and like try to win,
things,
because I feel like I'm in a really good point in my career where I'm calling pretty decently. I'm playing pretty decently. I'm definitely playing at a level where I feel like I can get top 12 in NA, right? So I feel like it's important that I keep playing instead of like taking a split off. So I tell Shuby, like, I think I have the best chance of winning with him. And then our options would be like Noct, Slayer, or Luxford. And then Shuby has his opportunity with... Sorry, I just ate too much food at Chili, so I almost just threw up. That shit was hot. Hey, sit up. Shuby has his opportunity with Snipe and Dropped, and that's a good option that I know Shuby has, and he's weighing that one very heavily.
Okay, so we're at flowchart, okay? So they're going there. And Zach is now saying, Zach is over here. Zach is like, damn, over here with Zach and Noct now. And then that's where Shub comes back. The Shub's back over here now. Then Shub and Zach become homies again. They're chill. These two are friends again. They mended bonds. They realized, you know, they shared Discord DMs. They realized, holy shit, this is all trucked up, right? Anyways, that's where we're at. So Shub has his opportunity with Snipe and Dropped. They're homies. They're still homies. But this is now Shub's new opportunities with Snipe and Dropped. But Zach is also telling Shub, like, I think we can really win with you. This and that, if you wanted to. That's also an option.
He's weighing that one very heavily. He's probably weighing that one heavier than he's weighing definitely mine right now. I hope I get to play with Shub because I think I'll have the highest chance of winning. If I don't get to play with Shub, then I'll probably play with Slayer and Luxford. I think like the saddest shit in all of this is like, the saddest shit in all of this is that it went from like, okay, we can potentially upgrade a player, as bad as that sounds. Like Sykes is an incredible player, like potentially, right? Nothing's confirmed. And then it took a turn from that to money. And then it was about money. And then it wasn't about money. Then it was about winning. And then when it was suddenly about winning, it wasn't even about winning. It was about like personal grudges. Because like everyone in their ear and everyone in my ear is telling me the exact same thing. And they're all the same people. And like those people are saying these things publicly. So I doubt that they're telling them one thing and telling me another. or telling their chat one thing and then telling them another, because then someone would call them on their bullshit, So it's just a really interesting situation. Now, the worst part of it all, as I've just been struggling to get to, is apparently I've been trying to scrim with Noct. I've been trying to scrim with all my options. I tried to scrim with Noct. I tried to scrim with Noct on Saturday. He didn't respond to me. And then Saturday night, I tried to tell Noct, let's scrim on Monday. And Noct let me know that he's just no longer playing. It looks like Noct is going to take split 2 off or retire, or I genuinely don't even know.
Okay, so he doesn't really know, but then he updates on the Reddit today. Zach puts on the Reddit, got some good news regarding his situation, talking about Noct. I'll let that come out on his own, but I'm glad he's not retiring or taking the split off. So Noct has something cooking, but nobody knows. That's his business.
All he told me is I'm chilling. And that breaks my heart, because
I got the sources, baby.
Even though I know I had no doing in fucking Knocked Over.
I'm a detective, bro. 1, I'm a woman. 2, I'm Latina.
It definitely hits a chord knowing that I fucked Knocked Over back on Cloud 9. And then I brought this really good team with EWC and champs and everything, a fully ironed out team with a coach to him, had everyone agree, sent him the screenshot of everyone agreeing. So he brings it to his
I'm Mexican.
world, and then everything betrays him, and he's so fucked over I can't even explain. I don't want to explain Nox's situation, 1, because I don't know Nox's situation as clearly as he would, and I feel really bad for him, and I tried to engage a conversation with him. I haven't got a response yet. I really hope Noct continues to play. I think Noct is more than good enough to win right now, and that's how I think.
So
It's basically
at that point, Noct was fucked, Sag. But now we're learning things are good with him again. He's no longer fucked. Things are chill. We'll find out soon, hopefully. And then now Zach's over here with Slayer and Lux.
It's basically one really stupid miscommunication led to a really big ordeal where I hard stepped on Talmadge's toes, which made him feel really, really, really disrespected and not valued.
That chart has you cross-eyed, bro. To me, this all makes sense. I'm to me, this makes sense. I don't even know how the fuck we got here.
While Talmadge is LFTing, get a lot of duo offers. Talmadge wants to play with Shuby. Me and Zap want to play with Sykes. We don't even finish that conversation, and Sykes commits another direction. Then the conversation turns into, well, what were those other opportunities? And like I said, I was interested in those opportunities as well, because they were ridiculous amounts of money. I have to pick between one or the other. I pick the money route, go the money route. So we go the Noct route. We get me and Zap to completely agree, screenshot it, send it to Noct. We verbally agree. The org even tells us hey, we're gonna make sure things work out. And then I guess Zap tells Talmadge,
hi Iron,
hey, I'm considering trialing with TSM.
If I ever help Zach or console and stuff,
reason, just doesn't tell the team until midnight.
The one personal opinion I will tell and leak, that was my own personal opinion, was I was telling Zach not to pursue this Sykes thing. I think I was the only one telling him not to do that. I said, you guys should just stay together. That was my own personal opinion.
Because I don't know, Talmadge told us that Zap told him after scrims. And then that's kind of the end of it, because they're in their own world. We have to figure out our own world.
Dude, this motherfucker Fallout!
I don't think anyone doesn't know.
This dude yoinked my whole stream!
Knew the behind the scenes doesn't even say anything. There's nothing behind the scenes. Well, maybe there's behind the scenes that I don't know about. But the behind the scenes is I don't think there's anyone in chat that thinks I'm some perfect teammate who's not a fucking cunt sometimes. I don't think the goal is to see her and act
the Australians have infiltrated all of us. We're all saying cunt now. That was never in my vocabulary.
I completely owned up to wanting to play with other people or entertaining the money over shoot. I've completely owned up to everything. Especially at that point, the EWC qualifier had already came and passed, and they Talmadge and Zap both knew that if I don't play with them after we all leave Shuby, that there's no way that EWC spot just gets voided. So they definitely knew ahead of time what they were doing. Whether you want to say it was this huge schemed idea of they're bad people, or whether you want to say it was under the idea of they're doing the best. Like I said, I've really moved on. Now, basically, I don't know their situation. Just not my business to make that type of stuff public. And to be fair, I just don't know. But I mean, as far as what I do know, I just said. Now, again, It's not meant to be like some crazy huge beef or like it's like, oh my god, like I can't wait to see Talmadge and Zap fail. Like it's genuinely not like that because they're playing with Evan and Reps, who I really like and I hang out with. But it's definitely not like that, and that's kind of that. Like the only reason that I felt the need to like talk over the situation is that I orchestrated some like crazy single-handed thing where like I was fucking over everyone and I was like twisting Zap's arm. Like, I was telling Talmadge like whatever the fuck they were saying, and like, it's definitely something I'm never gonna talk about again. It's people talk about like, oh, you're teaming with Zach, like you're in the hot seat, or like org changes all the time. You want to talk about my roster changes? My roster changes were I joined a duo. The duo said that they can't play with the other duo anymore, so one of them had to go. That wasn't me. The next roster change was my teammate went to Mexico. It really made him wake up and take it more seriously, and look at him now. Yeah. And then the next roster change was Naughty. And we only didn't play with Naughty because Naughty didn't want to sign a contract and E8 wanted us to lock someone in. And then the next roster change is this roster change. So it's like, it's not like it's some like crazy hot seat. And that's like a 2-year timeline. So it's like, bro, it's not like it's some like crazy hot seat where I'm like every day, like, yo, your job's on the fucking line. Like, no, bro. Not only that, but like I haven't had the skill level or confidence or ego to say something like that. Obviously, I know I picked the wrong thing when I chose like the money thing. And there's definitely a lot of things that I wish I did differently. You go all the way back to the original 07 con. Like, I wish I was a lot stronger with Talmadge and Zap, as I've told them 1,000 times, about like which POI we should land. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is where the ball lands. Like I said, though, my best opportunities are to play with like Shubi, Lux, or Slayer. And if
this is where he just rambles and says the same shit over and over and over again.
Snipe,
all right, so TLDR, Zach has a pro league spot. All right, so they're still figuring out EWC. Handbook,
we're gonna try to get some like clarity on whether EWC is going to follow the rules of ALGS, because then that would mean that E8 still has the EWC spot, or if they are going to give it to Complexity, which would be like the next team in line. And if they're going to give it to Complexity, if in good faith they'd be willing to, because it's too late to sign up for EWC, because I mean, I didn't even find out about any of this shit until it was too late. So
ready to.
That is the goal right now, is to either have an EWC spot or at least be allowed to sign up for EWC, so I can qualify for it. I feel really confident that if I do get in the EWC qualifier, I'll probably fucking destroy it and definitely get a top 2.
Okay, that's pretty much it. He just like rambles at the end of this. Oh, I had a Waltzy reaction from this of things that he was saying that I was like, huh, okay. These would be good for you guys to have like pro player, you know, information from somebody else.
It was so bad that Shubi wouldn't even like talk to me. He wasn't even entertaining.
How long ago did they swap back to Cedo? It was like at LAN. It was like right before LAN or some shit. It was like at LAN, I think, yeah. Or like right before it or some shit. It was like pretty. It was pretty late. But like if your IGL hates a POI, let's actually like acknowledge that. If your IGL hates a POI and he thinks he plays better or can't play from a POI, then you have to support him at the POI that he wants to go to, and then make his job easier from that one. Whenever Empty is talking about whenever he was talking about POIs when we moved to NA, and like where he wanted to go, it was literally me telling him, pick the POI that you think you can IGL best from. If he wanted Mill, for instance, obviously not that we would con DZ, but like if he wanted Mill, for instance, like that's where we go. If he wanted Lightning Rod, we go Lightning Rod. Like that's just how it goes. For a coach to say, if you swap back, I'm LFTing. If I had to guess, the biggest reason Talmadge would say something like that is because he's close friends with everyone from the 07 roster and just doesn't want the headache that would come with it. All I'm hearing is that he's scared of DZ. No, there's just no point conning a team that is always going to do well. It's the same reason teams shouldn't con us. Or it's the same reason like you shouldn't con TSM, you shouldn't con a bunch of teams. The only way that you can get rid of teams like us and like DZ is you have to like actually confidently 3-0, 6-0, like, and if you can't do that, then don't bother. I say it all the time, people don't listen.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, well, that's important, I think, for you guys to hear, because it was honestly important for me to hear. I'm like, oh, that's pretty validating. Like, I'm not just biased on that opinion, it makes sense. So what he's trying to like explain there is like, Zach did not feel comfortable on checkpoint, right? He did not feel comfortable on checkpoint, and he wanted to go back to Cedo because he knew he could do better from Cedo. So that's why he was saying all this, and he's saying, like, you have to support your IGL. Like, you have to make his job easier. What do I think of Zap? I think Zap is an incredible player. I think he is fucking insane. He is absolutely insane. I hope him and the TSM boys do well. We'll see. It's Verholz's first time ever IGLing, so you know, Verhulst has a lot to learn, a lot of, you know, BS to go through and to learn. So, you know, you thought Design was TSM. He trialed with them for 2 days, and then after the 2 days, told them, never mind. Like, I am going to stick with DSG. So Design is sticking with DSG. But yeah, that's the end of that conversation. The whole E8 thing. I'm sorry my flow chart was kind of crazy, but I hope that I was able to kind of explain everything that happened with what Zach said, with everything that happened on his POV. Like I said, all I can talk about is anything that's public. Whatever is public is the only thing that I'm allowed to talk about, and so forth. I don't want to give my biased opinion on any of this shit. Just trying to inform you guys on what is going on so you guys can stay up to date, and that's it. Drop confirm, drop confirm. Okay, now we can talk about this. I knew about it, but I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything until it was public, chat, but now we have confirmation.
So pretty much, Noct and I are still going to be teaming.
Woo!
And we are going to get Shubi as our third. That is the situation. We're going to be scrimming tomorrow and scrimming in the future. EWC quals, we're still with Snipe. But ALGS and, you know, everything else we'll be playing with Noct. So that is the situation. Yeah, so that is the thing, is like we're trying currently to get signed. We're like committed as a 3-man together, and we're just like kind of in the process now of just we're trying to get signed ASAP kind of thing.
Nice. I'm happy for Shub and I'm happy for Noct, because both of them ended up on good opportunity.
Like,
that means good opportunity for both. Bring back the flow chart!